Hey guys, 243 is me, coming back at you with a scope review. And this scope is very nice. So what we have here is the Nikon Prostaff 5, 4.5 by 18 by 40. And when I tell you guys what I paid for this and all the features, oh man, you're probably gonna want one. So first of all, I'm going to tell you all the features that come on this rifle, and I'm going to tell you what I paid for it. So first thing you get, oops, sorry about that. First thing you get is a first focal plane rifle scope, 1-inch tube. Get up here. Side focusing. That'll my camera focus. There we go. Side focusing objective from 50 all the way out to infinity. One thing I didn't even realize I was going to get with this rifle, because Amazon did not advertise it at all, was the tactical turrets and the sunshade. Because what actually came on the rifle when I got it was these low profile turrets. And then I seen in the box one of these big scope caps. And I was like, well, why would they give me that if I don't have, big scope turrets? So I started digging around in the box, and lo and behold, here these were. And I was very happy about that, because that was actually a surprise. I was not expecting to get these big turrets, these big style tactical turrets. And same thing with this sunshade. I was not expecting to get that either. And what I paid for this rifle right here, or I'm sorry, not the rifle scope, $388.57. Yeah. That was with tax. What happened was I seen it on Amazon, went ahead and price matched it at my local sporting goods store, and walked out the door with it for $388.57. And I was very pleased. So under $400, I got all those features. And if you guys know anything about Nikon, they make pretty decent, well, they make pretty good, pretty excellent actually, rifle optics. They're not the best, but for what you're paying, you're getting a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. Talking good quality glass, very, very generous eye relief. That's actually one of the things I like most about the Nikon optics. The eye relief you get on them is just incredible. The zero reset turrets, which are, unlike some of the other rifle scopes where you got like Allen keys in the top, where you kind of got to undo them, pick it up, spin it, put it back down. These are actually spring loaded. So when you make adjustments and you want to zero it back out again, you just pick that up, push it back down, right on zero. You don't have to mess around with trying to find an Allen key or screwdriver or anything like that. You just pick it up, move it where you want it, and it's on zero. So that's very nice. Same thing with the windage. Just pull it out, spin it, put it back to zero. Nice thing with these turrets too is there's no slop in these clicks. We'll get in here so you guys can hear that. Oh, come on, focus. Come on, camera. There we go. So it's very audible, very tactile. There's no like sloppiness when you're making the clicks. There's no like when it moves, it just straight to the next one. There's no mushiness in between like each click, which is very nice. So if you're gonna be shooting, long range and such, you gotta have, that's probably one of the most important features you can have on a rifle scope, is it has to track well. And that's one of the things you want to look for right there. If it has any sloppiness in that, those clicks, that's probably a scope you're going to want to stay away from. Originally I was looking at the Super Sniper, the fixed 10, the mil dot version or milliradiant, and I was gonna buy it because I really didn't think there was anything better for the price. But when I decided I was gonna kind of want to do some coyote hunting and things like that, I knew I wanted a variable power scope with the first focal plane. So I jumped online, I started looking around. I didn't think I was gonna find anything for under $700. I really didn't, until I came across this Prostaff. And when I seen it was first focal plane, I was like, well, you know, I'll have a look at that. So I started looking at the reviews, and yeah, I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger on this. Printed off that Amazon page, ran to my sporting goods store, see if they had it in stock. They did. Originally I wanted the mil dot reticle version, but they didn't have that. They had the BDC version, and what originally I thought was the scope was in milliradiants, or the turrets, I'm sorry, I thought the turrets were in milliradiants, but they're actually in MOA. I don't know if you guys can try to focus here. They're in 1/8 click MOA adjustments for 100 yards. And then that I was kind of a little disappointed on that, because having a mil dot reticle with MOA turrets, that's just gonna be a nightmare. So I was already familiar with the BDC from having the Buckmaster on here before I had this. So I just went ahead and I went with the BDC reticle. And actually I think for coyote hunting with that fast, you know, how fast coyotes can pop out, you're probably not gonna have time to dial in a firing solution. Or at least the majority of the time you're not. So I think the BDC probably the right way to go for barbet hunting. So I'm happy with that. If you're bench rest shooting, the mil dots might make sense, or if you're using them to range, because again, this is the first focal plane scope, so you can have it set to any power, and those mil dots will be the same size, or reference the same size. So, you know, if you're using it to range, if you got one of those cheat sheets, the mil dot master sheets, yeah, I could see that being an advantage. But I have a pretty decent laser rangefinder, and where I shoot, I'm already familiar with most of the landmarks and the distances for where I hunt. So for me, ranging isn't a super big deal, because I'm already familiar with the ranges in those areas for the landmarks that I'm familiar with. And if I'm shooting on a rifle range, most rifle range will be known distance ranges, so it's not a super big deal. The other thing I was a little disappointed about was the scope does come in 1/8 versus 1/4, and that could be perceived as a good or a bad thing, just depending on who you talk to. If you're a bench rest shooter and you're shooting at paper and you're just trying to, you know, get super accurate and super precise, it's not bad. For me, dialing in quick fire solutions for hunting, it is a little bit more difficult, because basically instead of doing, you know, 4 clicks, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh sorry, I went too far, 1, 2, 3, 4, and getting 1 MOA, now I've got to do 8 clicks to get 1 MOA. And the downside to that is now I got to have more clicks versus fewer amount of clicks, so it takes longer to dial in a firing solution. And again, if you're bench rest shooting, it doesn't matter. You know, you got all the time in the world, so who cares? You might as well have something that's a little bit more precise. Another downside to that is this is a 1-inch tube, so you don't get as much adjustment in there as you would get on a 1/4. Now, if this was a 30mm tube, I wouldn't have that big of a deal with it. But since this is not a 30mm tube, you just don't get as much adjustment out of it. But for the ranges I'll be shooting, I mean, if you're shooting from like 100 to 800 yards, or you know, 100 to 1,000 yards, there's more than enough adjustment in these that you'll get there no problem. If you're someone who's trying to shoot past 1,000, well, I don't even know why you'd be looking at a 1-inch tube anyway. You probably need to be going to a 30mm, or you could put a 20 MOA like scope base on there, which would give you a little bit more adjustment. So that might be something to look at if you are trying to shoot to, you know, those longer ranges. For me, 600 yards, probably more like 800 yards when I'm at the range. It's probably the max I'll shoot out to. I mean, this rifle will shoot out to 1,000, but my skill level, and I mean, I just really have no desire to do that outside of just saying I did it, I guess. You know, so I'll probably be shooting 100 to 600 yards for coyote hunting, and then on the range, I do like to play around a little bit, and I like to take it out to 800. And with this scope, I think it's gonna be a lot easier to take it out to 800 than on that Buckmaster. And that Buckmaster did do it, but that Buckmaster was more of a 400-yard deer rifle scope. And inside of that application, I think there's nothing wrong with that Buckmaster. But I knew I was going to be hunting coyote, a lot smaller game. I wanted a rifle scope that would be a little bit more precise, a little bit better glass, more magnification, first focal plane. And again, this rifle is also going to be probably a target rifle. So I knew I wanted something with really nice turret tracking, really nice glass, good magnification, and I wanted it at a price that I could afford. You know, I work a regular job, so I can't afford a $2,000 freaking rifle optic. But I still wanted something that I could take out and shoot to, you know, like I said, 800 yards and be consistent. So I think this is a very good scope for that. And with all the features that came on this scope, I was very pleased. So again, if you guys are looking for a long-range rifle optic, you're not trying to break the bank, but you still want a lot of features and a lot of good quality, here's your scope right here, guys. Alright, 243 is me, signing out, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.